Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of May 19, 2024. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is this a very special time. We have what some astrologers like to call the most romantic day of the year, when Venus meets Jupiter in the sky. We've got this powerful full moon energy as well, with the moon in a sign it really loves to be in, and it's speaking in harmony with Pluto, adding that much more potential. But what we also have is, and what I think actually holds a tremendous amount of potential, is the fact that Mars will meet the transiting North Node in the sky now. I think the nodes are so incredibly important, and we don't always realize, especially with the North Node, what it is that has begun, where it is that a seed has been planted. And it can take us some time for that understanding to really come to consciousness, to come to fruition. But it tends to be when planets activate the North Node that a doorway opens from which new people, places, things, and situations have the potential to enter, and they represent karmic blessings. In a higher sense, what they do is they pull us towards greater love and greater wisdom. Now, that's understanding them in the most meta sense here, but it is the North Node that speaks to karmic contracts, karmic blessings, and aligning with those very things we promised ourselves we would do with this lifetime. And my book, The Universe is Wise and Loving, is all about that. But don't count out the transiting North Node, because this is powerful depending on where it's playing out for us individually, but certainly collectively as well. And when I look at the collective energy, I think this bodes very well for understanding power differently, in a more elevated sense. When planets meet the South Node, they have a greater inclination to bring forward a lower vibration. But when it is that planets meet the North Node, they're able to access their higher vibration that much more easily. And in turn, we are able to understand that sign and that planetary energy in a more elevated way as well. And that is part of the promise available to us now. Mars is at home in the sign of Aries, already placed strongly in the sky, helping us to understand the wise use of power, but also self-trust, and being willing to decide on our direction based on knowing ourselves and then acting from that place of self-knowledge. It is about honing in on the outcomes we desire, and often those outcomes are just the desire to be ourselves, to live as ourselves that much more fully. I'm currently teaching the class, the Definitive Relationship course, over at SYNCHRONICITYUniversity.com. And the students already know there, every class we have, there are 3 big planets that I talk about a lot, especially where it comes to understanding relationships, whether that's what you need or how it is that you get along with another person. A lot of the time it comes down to the moon, Venus, and Mars. That doesn't mean all planets are important. They are in their own way, but those are the 3 planets that are often considered the love planets. And if you think about it, all 3 are activated this week in powerful ways. We have a full moon speaking in harmony with Pluto, adding that much more intensity to it. And not only is Venus meeting Jupiter, marking the most romantic day of the year, but we're also going to have Venus speaking in harmony with Neptune just before Venus changes signs and speaks in supreme harmony with Pluto. And then we have Mars. It is also one of the love planets, but it has more to do with what we feel propelled towards, right? What turns us on, what we're attracted to, and what it is within ourselves that we might cultivate because we believe it's going to, on some level, unconsciously, subconsciously, or otherwise, make us appealing to other people as well. It's those qualities we bring forward when we flirt or want somebody to know that we're interested in them. And when we see those qualities in another, well, we feel that much more awakened. All of that is Mars. Well, Mars meeting the North Node suggests an elevated understanding of exactly what that is that feels like we are propelled towards it. But also, for a lot of us, I think this is going to involve making a choice, making a decision about whether or not we like where it is that our desires are taking us so that we can make more conscious choices. Now, for some, I have to say, this is an exceptional time to be out and about. Strive to meet new people. If ever there was a week that said, this is good, well, at the very least, we're going to gain insights into what it is that we feel propelled towards, whom it is, the type of people, and how we feel about it. But yeah, we can welcome in some very powerful attractions now that feel like a wake up call of sorts, or at least they bring about a greater sense of consciousness of our very desires. St. Augustine was a highly influential early Christian philosopher. And it was St. Augustine who said that we have been duped into thinking that love is eros. In fact, most of us, when we feel eros, which is desire, we think that means that love is in the direction that eros is taking us. However, that's not really the case. It is going to be eros that leads you towards what ultimately is familiar to you, like what it is that you find appealing. But that's not always the best thing for us. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it aligns with love. And St. Augustine believed that we could find higher qualities like loyalty, honesty, dedication to be physically attractive as well. We could feel drawn to them on that level, but it would require practice and what we today would say reprogramming ourselves. It would require diligence to say, just because we have a feeling doesn't mean we have to go with it. And when we see those qualities that we know from an elevated sense that those are the qualities we want in our life, it takes diligence at first, but we can teach ourselves to find those sexually attractive to us as well. Part of what makes all this even more fascinating is that on the same day as this conjunction, we are going to start Gemini season. So happy birthday to all the Geminis out there as the sun steps into the sign of Gemini. And the sun will immediately move to speak in supreme harmony with Pluto. Now, the same plays out with Venus as well. Venus will, later in the week, after the most romantic day of the year, change signs, and before the week is out, is also going to speak in supreme harmony with Pluto. Now, just before these two planets change signs, they do connect in harmony with Neptune, and the Sun and Venus at the start of the week are in the sign of Taurus, which is a very embodied energy. It is considered sensual and present with the five senses. You add Neptune into the mix, and this is spiritualizing, magnifying a sense of either desire or really believing that we've been swept away off our feet in a moment. Now, that could be a moment of creativity, of inspiration, but of course, that could speak to love as well as we find our imaginations evoked. And it has been said that love happens in the spaces. It happens in the imagination. And when you allow new connections some room to breathe, that is what in turn allows something other to grow that ultimately unites two people that much closer together. And a lot of that does come down to the fantasizing, the romanticizing, the projections that come with Neptune. Nobody can maintain that long term, but certainly in the very beginning, it becomes part of what intrigues us in a particular direction. But then both of these planets are going to change signs, moving into the sign of Gemini. And the sign of Gemini is an air sign. It is all about mind. It is about talking, the words that are being said, what you're understanding. It's about relating to others as your equal. Gemini is the sign of the twins. And whether it is that we're starting Gemini season or we have Gemini placements in the chart, Gemini energy essentially is looking for its twin. It's looking for someone who can be a best friend, who can join them along the journey that they feel like can be not just a best friend, but in a sense, brethren to them. And in fact, Gemini energy seeks to find themselves in others all the time as they move through life. When we have these beautiful alignments with Pluto playing out, now the Sun trine Pluto in particular is one of my most favorite energies because it is the harnessing of will. It is understanding who we are and focusing in that direction, realizing what we want and knowing what it is that's going to get us there and being determined to manifest it. But a lot of that with all this air energy is going to come down to talking to the right person, understanding on a level of mind, communicating well. But it's also about being aware of how we are thinking about anything. Once Venus speaks in harmony with Pluto later in the week, well, that becomes especially powerful because remember, we're coming off of all this embodied, dreamy energy of Venus meeting Jupiter, speaking in harmony with Neptune. And instead, we very quickly switch it up. And I think that in many ways, some of us out there are likely to experience the opportunity to do the work that St. Augustine inspired or, gave us some directions to do. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't trust whatever you want to trust, go in whatever direction you want to go and see how it is that another person responds. It's all good. But what it does mean is that if we find ourselves aware of where some of our choices are leading us in directions that we don't like, that some of those choices are coming from a place that maybe requires our own compassion, well, it can be first the opportunity to find that compassion within us that comes this week. And then it ultimately translates to us deciding how we're going to focus our minds. Both Jupiter and Neptune have hopeful qualities associated with them, compassionate and imaginative, whereas Neptune is more elevated. It's more about the universal love that we find and the connection we find within ourselves and how it is that we allow fantasy and imagination to take us towards becoming more compassionate people. These are beautiful ways that Neptune can come forward. And that is only magnified that much more because of Jupiter. Neptune is an outer planet, which means that whatever happens with Neptune, very often it's karmic, its time has come, and it represents some shift taking place. Speaking with Jupiter, we are gearing up to understand what it is to be optimistic, to be open, to be hopeful very differently. Remember, this connection is happening with both planets at the very end of their respective signs. And whereas Neptune is essentially standing still now at the 29th degree of Pisces, it is Jupiter that is continuing to move forward and will, depending on where you are on the planet, it'll either be at the very end of this week or the very beginning of next week that Jupiter will change signs, which is a really big deal, moving into the sign of Gemini. This is going to change our understanding of what it is that we do as we go about to create more positive circumstances for ourselves and so much more. This takes energy out of that place that is so much more serious, so much more about what's practical, what's reasonable of Taurus, and instead starts to look at ideas and talking it out and being open to others, no matter who they are. So there's lots to look forward to there. Now, Jupiter, that'll have its own horoscope, so be on the lookout for that by the end of the week. Now, if all of this wasn't enough, we are going to also end the week with Venus speaking in supreme harmony with Pluto, bringing that much more intensity and bringing a real sense of wanting things to be different, where it comes to our appreciation of ourselves and our own unique beauty. But of course, this might also play out in the context of love as well. With Venus in the sign of Gemini, mind and heart become intimately connected. And in fact, This is the energy of, I've heard this phrase being used as of late. It's called demisexual, and it means that you are attracted to people's minds. You're attracted to their ideas or how they speak to you, what they're actually able to converse and talk about. Without the engagement of mind, it's like it might as well not even matter. It might as well not even be there. I think a lot of us are going to wake up to this understanding of the power of mind and conversation and the role it plays in us understanding what it is that makes ourselves uniquely beautiful, our understanding of our connections to other people, how we go about flirting, and also what it is with Venus. Often collectively, we're looking at what we consider beautiful in terms of fashion choices. Well, the energy of Gemini is an energy of, on the one hand, youth, but consider that these are air energies, right? Pluto at the beginning of a 20-year journey through the sign of Aquarius. And these do suggest either developing the mind as part of cultivating beauty, but it can also be some really interesting, really weird fashion choices that some celebrities end up making. Now, speaking of this Aquarian energy, there was one thing I really wanted to be sure to talk about. That was this very fascinating understanding lately, this whole movement that's been rising up from Gen Z, and it's called like boycott celebrities, or it's called different things, guillotine celebrities. And it's rooted around this idea of unfollowing and blocking people who seem to lack substance, is really what it comes down to. That seem to be more interested in the performance of celebrity and being looked at rather than what it is they're talking about, what it is that they're sharing. And a big motivation for a lot of people going about this has to do with wanting celebrities to speak out about social change and social issues and things like that. Now, as an astrologer, I have to say, I can't think of anything more Pluto in Aquarius. I mean, this really would be it. Pluto in Aquarius, and we're at the very beginning. And I have been talking about Pluto in Aquarius for years. I knew it was coming. And this is very much about the anti-celebrity. And we saw this already. We saw this when Saturn met Mars in March of 2020 in the sign of Aquarius. And I remember at that time telling you, this is giving us some insight, some foresight into an energy that we are going to dive right into once we get there, once Pluto moves into Aquarius. So now here we are. And if you remember at that time, well, we did have the lockdowns, right? Social distancing. But what also happened was we had this sense of the regular person, everybody having a moment of fame. And we had people becoming known and famous that had nothing to do with what celebrity was before. We started to appreciate and talk about, the thing I remember was sourdough bread. This whole thing happening on TikTok where everybody was making like sourdough bread and they were making TikToks about it and talking about it. And it was just so interesting at the time as well that those who were considered like traditionally aligned with celebrity, they were the ones that people were looking at and going, oh, this is cringe. Oh, this is, whatever. And it was really the everyday person, the regular person, who could end up being known by a lot of people very quickly. The idea of going viral went that much higher, that much more likely. And so the energy of Aquarius is also very revolutionary. And I look at this and I feel like there's such an energy of a revolt, such an energy of a push. And a lot of this is rooted in a desire to move away from a culture that is very celebrity centered. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It is a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I'm going to say, gosh, it's such a huge week, isn't it? But the most romantic day of the year, right? Venus meeting Jupiter in the sky. Now that is special in and of itself. It is happening in the sign of Taurus. And this is where Venus is at home. And this is an energy that becomes powerfully embodied. It becomes so much about what we're experiencing on a level of our senses. So it can be a very sensual energy as well. However, there's also a sense of things changing. Like we know we're in a time of transition. Venus is meeting Jupiter at the very end of their respective signs that they're moving through. And they're both speaking with Neptune as well. So there's a hopeful and dreamy quality available to us. Even though I did speak about Venus conjunct Jupiter at length in a recent short video here on my YouTube channel. And I spoke about it for each and every sign as well in the monthly videos and that video as well. So you may want to check those out. But having said that, wow, chances are a lot of us are going to be feeling a lot, but it's going to be very oriented around the wisdom of the gut is what this energy represents. Once both planets change signs, but really this week with Venus changing signs, once that takes place later in the day, the same day that we have the most romantic day of the year, well, Gemini energy is very different. It takes us out of body and starts moving us instead towards understanding how, we can live in our own minds. We can live in our own heads. What does that mean? It invites us to consider not just what love feels like, because with energy like this, we might tell ourselves that physical sensuality is love, but they are distinct. And it is Venus and Gemini that's going to help us not only to make that distinction, but it's also going to help us to understand how beautiful it is when we connect with people that we can really talk to, that we can relax with, we can be ourselves with, someone who feels like a best friend, who feels like they could be a twin. That is going to begin to be the awakening now, as our understanding of intellect and mind and our connections to each other in a very immediate way. Well, that appreciation and that awareness is only going to accelerate more and more navigating forward from here. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here's some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. It's a big moment. It's a big day of ravens and dragonflies. I'm just so grateful. I'm just so happy right now. This is my new book. And this book will be given to the world on June 11 and is available for pre-order on Amazon now. And those links are below. This is the hard copy advanced copy, and there are a very limited number available for sale, and they come with free gifts as a thank you. And also my gratitude, my absolute gratitude. Moments like this, like when I launch a new book, and this is only the 6th time in my almost 18-year career as a full-time astrologer so far. It's only the 6th time I've done this. And I have a few books in the works. I really focused and hoping that all that Gemini energy is going to help me to get them done and to share them with you guys. But it's always a really big moment for me because of how much I love books, how much I really believe in how it is that they become a permanent record, a snapshot, a little moment of where we were collectively at that place, at that time, at that second. And once it's given to the world, it's belongs to the world forever and ever, long after I've left this incarnation. I had my 150th birthday. When that comes, right around then is when I think I'll be ready to leave this incarnation. And when I do leave this incarnation, these will still be here well long after that time. And so it always humbles me. It's like a little piece of immortality that I feel I leave behind. And this book is so meaningful to me because it is of outer planet transits through the natal houses. And I really just wanted to focus in to help people understand what those big cycles of life actually represent. And I thought, I could do a little bit of a lot of different things, or I can just really focus and try to delve deeply into an understanding of outer planet transits through the houses of the natal chart in astrology. And that's what you get here of ravens and dragonflies. So this is very dense. I don't know if you can see. My other books have been written in 11 or 12-point font. This is written in 10-point font. And there's very few graphics. I think there's only like 5 graphics. It's all writing, really. It's 60,000 words, basically. And each section, so you get the section that's on, for example, Uranus. I start out with some new mythologies, and then I go through the houses. And each section on each house is between 1,000 and 1,500 words, which breaks down to about 4 to 6 pages each. So my hope was to really dive into an understanding of the different symbolisms and how that energy might come forward for you. Now, if you've watched me for a while, that I am not Pollyanna. I do believe that the universe is wise and loving, but I also think that there are things that happen in life that can be really challenging. And a lot of times what those challenges come down to is an outer planet transit. They indicate times that are designed to shift us into a whole other sense of self, a whole other reality. And in the case of a transit through a house, they are designed to transform that area of life for the rest of our lives. And they suggest big turning point moments. And I'm sure all of us out there have had times when you felt like there was this period of a few years where you just delved into a certain swimming pool, if you will. And it was a swimming pool of uncertainty or confusion or pain or transformation or shocks and surprise or a lack of stability. And so much changed as a result. Brought chaos, brought a sense that you wish things could be more permanent than they are. Well, all of that is what is explored here in this book. I hope you guys love it. As I said, there are only 300 copies available of the advanced copy. You get gifts with the advanced copy. You are going to get 2 pendants. So here is one pendant that says the universe is wise and loving, and another pendant that is the Sun card, a tarot card that I really loved and I wanted to include in this package. And it's only the pendants that are going to be available, so please don't expect like chains and star or anything like that. It's these pendants, but you can dress them up any way you want, and you can wear them on any kind of rope or chain or whatever. You can put them on your altar, whatever the case may be, and they are of metal alloy, and I love them. And so I'm happy to offer those to the 300 people who order a copy of this advanced copy. You also get a magnet that you can put on your fridge that says the universe is wise and loving. Now, whether you pre-order on Amazon or you pre-order the advanced copy from me, there is a course package that comes with this, which is the recent course I taught on outer planet transits. And this book builds on that a lot. And it goes through, like I said, it focuses on the houses. But over the course of that 5-week course, we talked about aspects as well so that you can understand them more deeply. If you already have that class package, we will have something else available to you so that you get a bunch of classes as part of a thank you for getting this book. And yeah, it's a big moment. It's a very special moment. And thank you to all of you who have shown so much love, so much trust in my career. This book is special. First of all, the writing of it, the content of it is special to me. And I hope it ends up being special to a lot of people out there, where you feel like you can go to this again and again over the years, and you can find, like, you can quickly look up, if you will. If you're going through, Uranus is entering your 10th house, you can quickly go to the section on the 10th house and really read it and really understand the nuances and the different ways that energy might come forward for you. Now, the other thing that makes this special is that it is an advanced copy, which means it's not going to be as refined or as perfect as the final copy that is given to the world on June 11, which makes it special, I think. It has its own thank you at the beginning of the book to the people who get the advanced copy. And it'll have some imperfections, I'll be honest. I still feel like, whenever I write a book, there are always little things I'm still working with and tinkering and thinking this should be different and this should be added or whatever. And the thing is, I know people who've been working on books for 20 years, who've been writing that book for 20 years. And I'm like, I can do that, or I can, just like an outer planet transit, right? Surrender. I can give it to the world. At some point, you have to relinquish it. And so, yes, what that means is, please be kind and gentle where it is. If there is any kind of little thing that needs to be paid attention to, a little typo, something that should be capitalized that isn't. And you are welcome to co-create this book with me by reaching out, sending us an email using the contact form on my website, and letting us know where you think that, Nadiya, that word wasn't capitalized, but it really should be. Let me know. I would appreciate that. And that way you co-create this with me. So once again, Synchronicity Publications. Oh my God, it's a new book. I am so, so grateful. I'm so, so excited. Thank you to the people who've already purchased this. Like I said, only 300 copies for sale. This will sell out, and it's only going to be on sale for 1 week. I wanted to be sure to get the printed copies before I offered them, because I did have a printing issue last time of 3 years ago when I launched my last book. So this time there's lots and lots of copies. I'll try to include that video here. But it's only 300. So this will sell out. They will stay on sale for a week, and then next weekend it'll stop being on sale, because on Monday I am traveling. So on the way to the airport, on my way to Brazil, Monday evening, I will load up my dad's car and all of the packages will be good to go. Yeah, so you'll get this sooner rather than later. I can't guarantee you'll get it by June 11, but yeah, check out the page. Check out Synchronicity Publications. All info and so much more is there. I hope that you love this book. Synchronicity University has some incredible classes that are starting to launch for upcoming July season. And boy, do I ever have classes for you. So far, it's been my class at Synchronicity University and Kepler College that has launched, I believe, at the time of this video publishing. And so check that out, but we will be launching more programs in the days ahead. So there's lots to look forward to. And thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust. I am so excited about this book. You have no idea how much it means to me to have books, to share books, to publish books. I am at heart a big nerd, and this book is just the latest version of that. And just thank you to all of you who support my work. And especially when you get my books, it means so much to me, because like I said, it's immortality. It's people getting the book means that the book will be out in the world forever. And that means a lot to me. So thank you so much for that. And also, I hope that it helps you a lot. There's another thing that's going to make this distinct, right? I said it's going to be special. The artwork is a little bit different on the final version that'll be given to the world. So there you go as well. The artwork is going to be special with this. So, it'll be slightly different with the final version, but yeah, you get the special version. Only 300 copies, you get the special one. I hope you love it. And the pendants and the classes and so much more. I'm so grateful for you. Times like this, I feel just full of gratitude. Thank you for staying to the end. That really does mean a lot to me as well. So thank you. Oh, I just feel so full of gratitude right now. So thank you for that. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.